It's one of North America's great road racing destinations. The Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course is ready to host the Verizon IndyCar Series once more. This is the Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio, and we are ready to go. Look at that crowd. What a day. Showing the increasing popularity of IndyCar racing in the Midwest for sure. And here is the points leader, Scott Dixon. Qualifying didn't go to plan yesterday. He was denied a real shot of making the Firestone Fast Six when James Hinchcliffe spun his car and brought out a red flag, and it affected his Ganassi teammate as well. There is the state of play with 5 rounds remaining. Scott Dixon leads by the biggest margin he has this year, that is 62 points. And we're almost ready to go. This place has been incredibly rewarding for Scott Dixon. His nickname here anyway, I know it's always the Iceman, but on this particular occasion, it is the Master of Mid-Ohio. The reason why, you're looking at it. He's won not once, twice, not even 3 or 4. He's won 5 times at this track. Nobody has done that, and he's feeling good yet again, albeit coming from a lower grid position. Let's go trackside for the command.
Race fans, it's time for the most famous words in all of sports. Please welcome Vice President of Auto Operations for Honda, Vicky Paponi.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
So engines fire, and there is a lot of hope here. There's a lot of hope to catch this man, Scott Dixon, because he's running away with this championship. And this has been a wild weekend. As we welcome in Paul Tracy, Townsend Bell, guys, there's been more off track than on.
Yeah, this 2018 Aero Kit has proven to be a handful here at Mid-Ohio. We ride with Joseph Newgarden. He loses it going into the final sequence of corners. And Paul, at Mid-Ohio, it's tough enough when things are going well. And when you're on the edge like this, there's been a lot of drama.
Absolutely. Everybody's been struggling with an understeer and then a snap oversteer. But this one here, he lost the brake and just brought out the red flag in qualifying, which really upset Chip Ganassi. But really, the guys are really hanging on to the rear of the car, and this is going to be a tricky race today.
All right, let's go down to the pits and find out the latest as the cars have just rolled. We start with Kevin Lee. Kev?
And if that off by James Hinchcliffe is what kept Scott Dixon from advancing the Firestone Fast Six. So he starts at 9, so a little tougher sledding as he goes for win number 6. So Mike Hull here on the stand has his work cut out for him. He thinks they have a good race car, so they could stay with a standard strategy, but maybe come in early, maybe make it a 2-stopper, Jan.
And Kevin, of course, Joseph Newgarden is defending champion of the series, but also defending champion of this race. And both he and his teammate Will Power, they sense an opportunity here. That's because they know that Scott Dixon is qualified in 9th. They, of course, start 2nd and 4th, nose to tail. Look for them at the start to make a big, aggressive move to try to build a gap, Katie.
Jan, Alexander Rossi is starting on the pole for the 3rd time this season, but he says this one is a little bit more special than the others because he feels like road courses have been a weak point for him. Plus, of course, he beat the likes of Scott Dixon and Will Power, and he knows in order to keep those drivers behind him today, he's going to have to drive nearly perfect every single lap and execute in the pits to pull off his 2nd win of the year. Robin?
Katie, Ryan Hunter-Reay broke his losing streak this year earlier at Detroit. He's had 3 second places since then, and guess what? He's never won. In the 17 races he's won in IndyCar racing, he's never won at Mid-Ohio. He's been on the pole before. Today he starts 3rd for Michael Andretti's team. His teammate Alexander Rossi's on the pole. He says one of us is going to win this thing, Lee.
Isn't that interesting that you've got drivers the caliber of championship-winning drivers, the caliber of Ryan Hunter-Reay and Will Power, never having seen the checkered flag first. Let's roll through the grid for you, and you can pick out your favorite drivers. But PT, what are we going to see today? What does your racing gut tell you?
Well, Alexander Rossi's been really strong all weekend, as well as Hunter-Reay, but look for Newgarden. He's really got to make something happen today, Townsend.
Yeah, going back to row 3, you see Robert Wickens continues to impress. Rookie driver up front, along with Max Chilton, with a very small new team with Carlin Racing, their best qualifying result of the season.
I think that's just such a great story that they've got there, and Of course, here are the teammates from Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing, Graham Rahal and Takuma Sato. And then you go back. This is why we made the point a little earlier about Scott Dixon having to dig. He's back on the 5th row.
He's back there, and he's going to have to battle a lot of talent like James Hinchcliffe, who had a really fast car, made a mistake in qualifying, so he starts further back. And then you look at Dixon's teammate, Ed Jones, very fast in qualifying, but that red flag from Hinchcliffe also meant that Ed Jones didn't get a lap.
These two guys, two youngsters, Marco Andretti, not happy with how he qualified. His teammates are all in front of him, but another solid day for Connor Daly in qualifying, and Kimball also had a good effort as well.
Looking back at row 9, there's Simon Pagano. Had a big off in practice, struggled in qualifying. He was frustrated. Spencer Piggott also fast in the practice sessions with a difficult qualifying session. And then all the way at the back, we'll be watching Pietro Fittipaldi, who's made a remarkable quick comeback from a huge accident to show up here at Mid-Ohio.
And Sebastian Bourdais at the back after that qualifying crash. Want to run you through our onboard views. And this is the relay camera aboard Zach Veach's Andretti Autosport machine. We have spoken about James Hinchcliffe, and Lucas Oil provides us this. We'll go to that shot a lot. PNC Bank is providing this view for Scott Dixon. Will it be a victorious one today? We'll find out at the end of 90 laps. How about Joseph Newgarden? He has got the Verizon camera today, and that's what it looks like out the front. We all love that nose cam. Fantastic. And just reminding you that this man here, Graham Rahal, who we just spoke to, he's carrying the 5th third bank. They're a local organization as well. I think Cincinnati based, so there's a lot of local flair on that car. And Alexander Rossi is carrying our Verizon streaming camera. You can go inside all season long by downloading IndyCar Mobile exclusively from Verizon, America's best streaming network. So there you have it. That's about all you need to know to get going for today's race in front of a packed house here in Mid-Ohio. It's race 13 of 17, only 5 to go. Scott Dixon trying to win for a 6th time here and a 5th championship, but he's all the way back in that left row there in that orange and blue PNC Bank car. There's a lot to do as they start to gear up, they pack up, and this is the unique part about this track. Whoa, Dixon had to pop out of line there. A real concertina effect. Now the green flies. Alexander Rossi, the pole sitter's getting a flyer. His teammate Hunter Ray in that yellow car's getting squeezed. Here come the Penske boys. And there's a big run from Chilton. Chilton always went up the inside.
That was a bit of a dirty start. I thought he completely brake checked everybody up. Rossi and almost caused a crash behind him.
Newgarden and Hunter Ray going at it. The yellow car there trying to hold the inside. Newgarden has the advantage, so Newgarden slots into 3rd. Great battle there for 4th.
Good start, Robert Wickens too. Then Takuma Sato, look at this. Hinchcliffe, Veach, Connor Daly's in the mix. Around the outside.
Car sideways off the corner. Car's 4 wide coming off the corner. Sebastian Bourdais still at the back, and nowhere for him to go, but there's Connor Daly holding off.
Looked like Pagano got into the side of Marco Andretti. Marco was the car with big sideways action coming over the rise there in turn 8. Marco's still struggling for rear grip.
Hey, Paul, your assessment of the start is an interesting one. It is allegedly, it's under review.
I should have a replay of that. It looked like he completely brake checked up the whole field, and kind of a dirty move, really. I mean, that's we know he drives hard, and we know he's aggressive. Look at this, Dixon taking a chance. Willis' ex-teammate give him a little room. These guys are good friends on and off the track, so he needs to get ahead of him and just settle in. But Willis' ex-teammate worked with him here.
Scott Dixon thinking, man, I flew all the way to London for your wedding. Come on, as Veach and Hinchcliffe go side by side.
Look at this. Here's Connor Daly on the inside and down into turn 4.
Oh no! What about here? Sato.
I think he spun it, did a 360 and ended up straight. Traffic jam at the end of the back straightaway. He gets going, fires it again.
Wow, look at that. Jack Harvey and Matthias Laced going elbows out. A lot of great action on the opening lap.
Bourdais has only passed 1 car in a lap and a half. It's so hard to get by because guys are just driving like crazy right now to make position.
We'll keep you up to date about that start being under review from race control. Look at the Fuzzy's vodka car here. Jordan King with a promising start. The British driver is up to 9th after starting 16th. He obviously picked his way through the mayhem very effectively.
Terrific. Up 7 positions, Jordan King. Let's watch what happened with Takuma Sato. Outside here.
He got touched.
Might be contact. Was that Max Chilton?
Yep.
It looks like it.
Chilton gave him the chrome horn. He did a 360. Lucky it's downhill there. His car's rolling, and he bump starts it. Here we got a replay from another car. So Chilton dives down the inside. No lockup. Touches him in the back. Sato does a 360. It's rolling, and he bump starts it. Goes again.
James Hinchcliffe and Zach Veach. Veach to the right.
You're clear behind.
Let's ride this one out.
Whoa! That was lucky that front wing didn't break.
Minor contact there, but good heads-up driving from Hinch to avoid the spun car of Takuma Sato. Back up front, Alexander Rossi.
Well, he's under review. He's pulling out a little bit of a lead, but we're going to wait and see what race control does if we can get a replay on that start at some point. But definitely he checked up the field big time.
So Alexander Rossi with 1.3 seconds over Will Power. And then Joseph Newgarden and Ryan Hunter-Reay going out of shot there. Really promising start from Robert Wickens. He's running fifth. Chilton has been able to keep Scott Dixon at bay, and there's a little more gap now starting to open up in between these cars. Here's Simon Pagenaud working on Connor Daly, one side to the other.
Connor Daly deep on the brakes, tries to go Buffalo Boy around the outside, but Simon has the position there.
Good move from Pagenaud. Pagenaud had that light contact on the opening lap, but I think Connor's going to come back on him.
Looking outside.
And this is a David and Goliath situation. This is the single car team Harding Racing up against Penske.
It's smart driving from Pagenaud. I don't know if you can tell, but he just went wide of the apex down there in turn 4 to make Connor Daly's life miserable on the outside. Very subtle. That's an experienced driver, Paul, showing a young guy how to hold him back.
And it's not been a very good weekend for Simon Pagenaud, just the qualifying position back in 17th, but the car has never been good, and that's been the theme all season long. Good on ovals, but he struggled so far this season most of the time. A little better at Toronto, but that doesn't transfer here, and he can't use his teammates' setup. His teammates are good, but he said that does not work for him, so they're guessing coming into the race and just hoping it works out.
And an update, there you go, you see it for yourself. Max Chilton and the Carlin machine serving a drive-through for avoidable contact, tagging Takuma Sato.
That's brutal. What do you think, Paul?
Well, I mean, it's side-to-side, wheel-to-wheel contact is good. We've seen it over and over this year, but he got into the back tire of your man right here, Sato, and spun him around. So I think that's a fair avoidable contact. Sato going for the big move down the inside.
Piggott with a little bit of reaction there. Sato desperately trying to get back to the position he was in. We understand no action on the start for Alexander Rossi, so they deem that to be well within the rules. That's a lot of times this season we've seen Rossi under review, only to have the officials say, no, that was acceptable. So he likes to ride right on that razor-thin line, and he's almost always on the right side of the law.
Now that he's in the clear, he's got to put his head down here, make his fuel mileage, and try to draw away from Will Power. But we're going to get a replay of this right here. Watch this. Townsend, he comes out. Now everybody's going real slow. Power locks up his brakes, and then everybody's stacked up all behind him, and then he takes off, and he's gone.
Well, let's look at the helicopter view, Paul, so we can see a little better. Now, here's the deal. You're the pole sitter. You set the pace. Now, if the pace is 35 miles an hour, that's pretty aggressive. But Rossi knows again and again this season, I think he knows better than any driver in the field what's acceptable, and he pushes the limit every time. And again, he always comes out clean.
Devil's advocate, the pace car speed is 55 miles an hour, not 35.
Well,
so you're supposed to maintain pace car speed.
I'm just guessing 35. There's no way you know how fast Rossi was going.
Yeah. And over the last 2 laps, Will Power, the silver Team Penske Chevrolet in the background there, has made up a little ground just by 2 or 3/10 of a second on this man. Alexander Rossi leads the way. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by United Rentals, official equipment rental services provider of IndyCar and proud sponsor of Graham Rahal. And by Honda, an official vehicle of the Verizon IndyCar Series. There's been a lot of that kind of campground feel this weekend in amongst this crowd. Just a wonderful feeling, and that was Simon Pagenaud beating Charlie Kimball at a localized game of cornhole. As we welcome you back, Lee Diffie, Paul Tracy, Townsend Bell, And this is Mid-Ohio. What a sight. And while we've been in that break, Alexander Rossi has doubled his lead. It was a second, now it's 2 over Will Power, Joseph Newgarden, then Ryan Hunter-Reay, Robert Wickens, Scott Dixon, who had the path cleared when Max Chilton had to serve a drive-through penalty, and Chilton's in again.
Well, he went to the back of the field with that drive-through, so he's now decided to change the strategy, and this might play out, Katie.
And this is not at all what Max Chilton wanted. As you see, there's a problem on the left front. The day just continues to get worse and worse for Max Chilton. It was looking extremely promising when he qualified in his very first Firestone Fast 6. We'll try to figure out what's going on here, guys.
Well, he can't get the gun on the nut. Like it won't engage. There it goes. Had to jam it on there, but it looks like it might be seized up. Can't get that wheel off. Finally gets the wheel off. This is a total disaster.
The feel-good story of the weekend has become a very depressing story of the weekend. Best qualifying for this new young team in IndyCar that is renowned in the UK and Europe, of course, for all open-wheel racing, particularly the junior formula.
It rains and it pours for Chilton, but guys are going off strategy, and there might be some weather coming in the forecast. There's some big black clouds rolling in, as we see. Bourdais now taking the off strategy.
And Bourdais needs something really magical to happen, like happened in St. Pete earlier this year when he won from last. They're going to put on those red tires, Kevin.
So with that spin, the contact from Max Chilton's strategy possibly changed. If they were thinking about trying to make it a two-stopper or just a standard, that went out the window when Sato fell to the back. So he comes in for sticker reds this time.
Look at the sky here, guys. Real big black clouds, heavy everywhere. So there's a possibility we might get a storm rolling in.
Just watching Sebastian Bourdais coming out of the pits there. That's exactly how his crash occurred yesterday. There was a brake issue first time out. We pick up Chilton ahead of Connor Daly, Tony Kanaan, and then Marco Andretti.
He's a lap down now. Connor Daly makes a move. It's going to be hard to pull off a pass there, but Chilton could make life difficult for these guys right here.
Look at Marco.
Buffalo boy around the outside.
Makes it work on Tony Kanaan.
Maybe not.
Good friends, former teammates. Kanaan coming back, so great driving from Marco. That's a rare passing opportunity. He almost pulled it off. But for Connor Daly, like you said, Kanaan, Andretti, they need to get by Chilton, who's a lap down. They need to get back in the groove on pace because they'll lose a significant gap here to the front runners.
Well, there's no reason for Chilton to be playing angry with these guys. I mean, I'm sure he's driving in frustration right now and doesn't want to let guys by, but he's not racing these guys.
Charlie Kimball now on Marco Andretti. Look at the ducking and weaving going on down the back straight into turn 4. Remember, Kimball is a winner here. Got his first IndyCar Series victory, so there's very happy memories.
He's fine. You get tire temp and drive away from him.
For the other Carlin driver.
Team just said to him, get tire temp and drive away. So he's still on cold tires. These guys are on hot tires. Now you can see he's starting to edge away. Look at Sebastian Bourdais racing with Sato. The long way around here. You can easily get pushed off the road.
Oh, Sato fighting back and then backing it into turn 5. I like that.
Up front, gap has remained the same. Still 2 seconds between Rossi and Power as Piggott and Andretti come to pit lane.
And for Marco Andretti and many others that we've seen, you're seeing a lot of activity on pit road because the pit window has opened for a 3-stop race. That was a little bit of a longer stop for Marco Andretti. In fact, Spencer Piggott gapped him somewhat. Now here's what we're looking at for pit windows. For 3 stops, you can see it's already opened. It opened on lap number 6. You're well within that. Now, there is potentially a scenario today where you could make this a 2-stop race, but in order to do that, you would have to really save some fuel. And look at that, the map is easy. 90-lap race, you'd have to stop on lap 30 and lap 60. These guys that are racing this hard in the keyhole, they're not on a 2-stop strategy. They're going for 3, burning fuel and tires. I think that's the way to go today.
Look at these 2 former F1 drivers going at it. Takuma Sato, Sebastian Bourdais. Sato takes that inside run. Look at Sebastian all the way around the outside. Does he keep it on track? He does.
Cold tires right in front for Piggott. Can he hold off Bourdais into this section? He's on hot tires and reds. Shades on blacks.
Shades of Long Beach for Sebastian Bourdais. I've never seen that much entry speed down in turn 4. He made it stick.
James Hinch Hinchcliffe pits from the top 10. You know, just thinking about this racing here, this isn't for the win, this isn't for the podium, not just yet. It's all the way down in 18th and 19th place, but it's great racing.
Well, for Sebastian Bourdais, he started off the weekend fastest in practice one, had a big mistake in qualifying, so we know Bourdais got a fast car. He's trying to prove to his team and the fans, everyone, hey, we've got the speed, we just need to get to clean air. Here he goes up the outside of Piggott.
Here, he's going to go over, under here if he can, maybe around the outside. Man,
Brilliant
pass.
Brilliant move.
Oh, Seabass is fired up.
Gunfighter, nice job. Keep it up.
Craig Hampson, his engineer, playing the role of coach as well. Kev?
Ryan Hunter-Reay pitting from fourth. He started saving fuel just a little bit. Now it's obviously clearly a three-stop strategy. They are one of the teams, though, that did contemplate just a little bit doing two stops. I think we needed a yellow, though, in the first few laps for anybody, at least as far as the fast guys are concerned, to really do that.
All over the back of Tony Kanaan, who's just come out on cold tires. We'll see if he makes that move. Huge exit speed there, but you're not going to get around the outside of this next corner, but he pulls it off.
Right now you're seeing the advantage of new red tires. That will fade after about 10 laps for Bourdais, so he knows he needs to make hay when the sun's shining, as they say, with fresh Firestones and a lot of grip at his disposal.
Ed Jones trying to execute a pass on James Hinchcliffe.
Outside.
Big glowing brakes on the outside. He does the over-under. Nice
Still there,
pass
still
there.
out, still
Little
out.
contact.
Wow.
Guys are making outside
Clear.
passes everywhere. This track is rubbered in good.
Ed Jones didn't leave Hinchcliffe much room there on the entry to turn 5. If Hinchcliffe gets a chance to get back side by side as Wickett, his teammate, comes to pit lane.
And he's going to go for sticker red tires. We saw his teammate here do the same thing. That is waiting now just for fuel. Now let's get to Kevin.
Simon Pagenaud coming in. He's done a nice job making up spots from that 17th starting position. Worked his way up to 11th. A couple went off. Pits from the 8th position. The advantage they have not making it through is they have 2 sets of sticker reds, and he goes to another set right now.
Never seen Simon Pagenaud. I've seen him angry before. I haven't seen him as frustrated as he was yesterday after qualifying. But let's see what the day can do. What a great run for this car here. The 20 machine, the shared car of Ed Carpenter and Jordan King. Jordan does the road course races. Team boss Ed Carpenter does the oval.
Let's see what happens here. Hinchcliffe very close to Ed Jones. Going to have a chance maybe to get a move back on Jones. No button push. There it goes. Push to pass is on for Hinchcliffe.
Turned it back off, a little too far away, but guys, I'm so impressed. I've never seen so many outside passes, guys going around the outside here in the past. Always, this was a tough place to pass, but today with this new car, new aero, these guys are so racy.
I think another big factor, Paul, is track temperature. Well down from what we've seen the last few years. Only 98 degrees right now with the overcast skies, chance of rain. It's given a lot of mechanical grip offline.
Charlie Kimball in. Katie?
And he went away from his teammate Max Chilton's setup that obviously worked very well when he made the Firestone Fast 6, but he's matching his setup today. As you see an adjustment in the front wing and a little bit of a longer stop to get him all the way up to a full 9 seconds. As you see Connor Daly also making his stop.
7-1 for Connor Daly and a 9-second stop for Kimball as they're now going to come out in front of Bourdais. Now watch Bourdais get racy down this straightaway. He's got to get Connor Daly right here going into the keyhole.
And that's a fairly easy, straightforward inside pass. The long run up the hill to the keyhole. So, 1.4 seconds the gap, first to second, yet to see. Rossi, Power, Newgarden, and Dixon pit.
How about Scott Dixon, though? He started 9th, now 4th, only 5.5 seconds off of the leader. We ride on board with Dixon, and he can see Newgarden up ahead. Newgarden's only 3 seconds up, so whatever sort of risk that was there for Scott Dixon from the poor qualifying position, half of that's gone. So he's now in the hunt to win this race.
And I think this is a dangerous spot as well, where he is by himself. He's able to dictate the terms. He's not getting any pressure from anyone on any passes. He's able to form the race, that magical race that we saw years ago when he came from last to first.
And that's where Dixon's been able to be so dominant, like we saw at Toronto last race. When he got clean air, he was gone.
Right now on track, Dixon at a 107.5 and the leader at a 108.4. So he's the fastest guy on track, but the fastest lap of the race so far is Robert Wickens, who's just on these reds, has laid one down. But right now, Dixon is closing in on the leaders.
This is a fierce battle in the midfield. Marco Andretti going around Charlie Kimball. That's for 16th position. Those two A.J. Foyt cars nose to tail. So a lot of action front to back.
Matthias Leist would be loving being in front of his more experienced teammate Tony Kanaan, that's for sure. A couple of milestones here as Tony edges ever so close to 300 consecutive IndyCar races. Today, if you hadn't heard the news, is Scott Dixon's 300th IndyCar appearance and Will Power's 200th. Racking up the numbers.
The Iron Man. Tony Kanaan still has every bit of youth as a 21-year-old for this sport. Just totally loves it, totally committed. Works super hard to be here every race, despite injuries. There's been years, Paul, where he's coming back from fractured wrists and big crashes to still run. As we look back at Alexander Rossi, the question is, when does this guy decide to pit?
Starting to lap cars now. Pietro, the last car on the lead lap here, struggling along here. He's injured. Let's not forget he's had a broken leg. He's got a brace. They've had to change the master cylinders in the car to accommodate him being able to push the pedal hard enough, and it looks like he's just going to get out of the way, and that's a smart thing for Pietro to do. He needs to log the laps and get his race mileage under him.
Wasn't that long ago that we were saying the orange and blue PNC Bank car of Scott Dixon was 5.5 seconds back. He's 3.7 now. Look out, this traffic is aiding Dixon to catch the likes of this man, Joseph Newgarden, Power and Rossi.
And I find it interesting that Newgarden was on the button there behind Power. So just like last year, there's no riding around with your teammate. Newgarden ready to pounce, and Newgarden knows he needs to stay in front of Scott Dixon throughout the rest of this championship, so he's got a sense of urgency to get by.
Dixon right now is flying. He's running about 3/4 of a second quicker than the leaders and chasing him down. He's down to 3.6 seconds right now, and you see him closing in. Don't forget, he started way back at 9. These guys had a big advantage on him.
Master of saving fuel, Scott Dixon. If he gets close to Newgarden Power, he might just stay out that extra lap in the pit stop cycle, get himself the clean air, and see if he can jump maybe 1 or 2 cars just on the sequence.
How demoralizing would it be to Newgarden or Power to look in the mirror and say, where did he come from?
Yeah.
What the heck?
Such an experienced team that sits on Scott Dixon's pit box, though, led by Chip Ganassi Racing's managing director, Mike Hull. You've got Kate Gunlock, Chris Simmons, a former racer himself. This is a tight-knit team, Robin.
Hey, Lee, I was talking to Dario Franchitti yesterday, and he said, you know what, you cannot qualify Scott Dixon at Mid-Ohio, but the way he sets his car up for the race is why he's so strong. So I want to know what Townsend and Paul thinks he does. What does he do to set his car up that's so different, and why is he so good here?
Well, he's got a ton of experience, but I think what Scott Dixon does better than anybody is doesn't get rattled by the little things. He just is, he's like a machine. It's very mechanized in terms of the way he approaches a race weekend. It's consistent, it's repeatable, the mental strength. He doesn't get rattled by a little issue here and there, and he proves that over and over. And Paul, you claim that there's $8 million on the line for this new contract per year.
Well, Chip Ganassi said today, he said to us, hey, he's worth 11 to me. So the thing I noticed with him, I never see him burning off the rear tires and getting sideways and putting down wheel spin. He's just really good at preserving the rear tires, and the longer you can preserve the rear tires, the faster you're going to go. But we just heard Graham Rahal had a little bit of an off. Here it is right here, turn 1, fastest corner on the track. You run wide there, and that's a bad spot to go up. That's the place where guy's broken his back there before. Justin Wilson went off there and broke his back in that same spot.
Paul, we've raced at a lot of tracks around the world. I find turn 1 at Mid-Ohio to be among the most critical in terms of precision. If you miss the apex by 3 inches like Graham Rahal did, you never get it back. It's really hard to stay on the track.
You remember a few years ago, before Paul was part of the team, Ryan Briscoe did a guest appearance with you and I here once, and we took him outside turn 1, and he was standing there, and he said, oh boy, they're fast. And I said, well, you're in it. You used to be in it. Anyway, it is a thriller of a turn. So already 22 laps into this 90 lapper, yet to see the top guys pit, but that'll be happening anytime. A quick reminder, you can watch every IndyCar race online, on mobile, on tablets and connected TV devices with the NBC Sports app. Download it now and find out more at NBCSports.com as we welcome you back to Mid-Ohio, where Alexander Rossi is trying to fend off Joseph Newgarden after Will Power pitted. And we're waiting for Scott Dixon as well. Look how tight this is.
Yeah, Jack Harvey's in front of these guys. He's pitted, and he knows that these two guys are going to pit at any minute, so he's not really inclined to let them go by because he's battling the guys in front of him. So he's trying his hardest to keep his lap because he knows these guys are coming in.
And on Will Power's pit stop cycle, he has been leapfrogged by Schmidt-Peterson's Robert Wickens. So that'll be a source of frustration. Power will be trying to make up for that.
Oh, we got to run here. Look at this, Townsend. Push the passes on. We got to run.
Oh, this is the move.
Oh,
this is the Newgarden move.
That's the move.
He did that to Will Power last year. Genius.
He did it again.
The lead of the race, Joseph Newgarden for Team Penske.
You could see him framing up that exact same move, fading to the outside, out of the frame of Rossi's mirrors, and now the 9 car of Scott Dixon is at the front and in the battle.
He's right there on the back, and he's going to want to seize control and stay with Newgarden, but Newgarden pulls off his textbook move. That's his signature move.
Let's see game on.
I tell you what, it's a bad move for Rossi to stay out and be hung up behind these guys. These guys are going to leapfrog him.
Newgarden and Dixon sharing pit boxes, nose to tail. Kevin, what's this going to be?
And Alexander Rossi just said on the radio a moment ago, this is not working. He's going to go a couple more laps. Is he possibly thinking about doing it on 2 stops? At the front of the grid, Joseph Newgarden coming in right after he made that pass. Robert Wickens also going by. See where Will Power is as he comes in. And Scott Dixon is also out.
These guys all lost ground because they were hung up doing 109s behind the lap cars. So Rossi staying out is not beneficial to him.
I was surprised that Rossi stayed out that long.
Check this out, folks. Last 2 cars. One way, then the other, and whoosh, straight into the lead of the race.
And a little bit of a hip check, too. So he definitely muscled Rossi out of the way. Rossi's been the guy that's been the aggressor, but watch this, Townsend. He comes in, gets side by side, and then right here just moves over on him and pushes him out of the way.
Great wheel-to-wheel action. 2 young American stars going for it in this championship. We're back on Rossi, who has not pitted. Could he potentially go all the way and make it a 2-stopper? I doubt it, the way he's been burning fuel. So lap 23 complete. He's got to come in soon, but he's losing pace behind the lap cars.
Pretty loose coming off the corner. He's lost ground to Harvey now.
2 more each time, and to keep the pace up, we'll try and drag it from him.
So guys on the move right now is Wickens is going to be the leader of this once all the pit stops are done. Pitted way earlier compared to everybody else, but he was turning fast laps and has been able to build a gap back to Will Power.
And Ryan Hunter-Reay is on a similar strategy. So too Graham Rahal and Simon Pagenaud.
I was wrong on that. Newgarden and Dixon are in front of Wickens right now. No?
Wickens is in front. Yeah, Wickens is in front.
Hey guys, when you heard that radio conversation just a moment ago to Alexander Rossi, you heard Rob Edwards say, we need 2 more. The only reason he would call him and say, we need 2 more, means they're trying to potentially leave the opportunity open for a 2-stop race. Otherwise, right now, just as you've commented, he does not have the grip. He's losing track position. The only way you do this is you still want to be in the catbird seat in case 2 becomes a scenario.
Taking 1 turn out for blacks.
So there you go.
Yeah.
It's Jeremy Millis on the radio, Rossi's race engineer, asking about taking
Leave it.
asking about taking a turn out of the front wing. Rossi thinks about it and says, leave it. I want the front grip, probably as he's getting closer to traffic.
Yeah.
When he's in clean air, he's thinking, okay, we're a little too positive on the front, but now that he has the benefit of running in traffic, he's thinking, I'm going to keep the front wing in it. So we should see Rossi on pit lane soon.
Yeah, I think with the pace he's running right now, Townsend, I think he's going to come out in like 3rd or 4th position because he just hasn't been as quick as the other guys.
And switching to the primary black tire, you must run each compound at least once in an IndyCar race. Kev, take it away.
So as Jan said, and I mentioned a few minutes ago, when Rossi said this isn't working, it's clear that they're trying to do it on just one more stop. Wickens goes by. Rossi, though, is going to pit one less time than the others who still need 2 more stops.
He's going to come out right here 4th right now, potentially 5th.
There goes Newgarden, and here come the others. Watch this, the drag race up the hill. Here comes Dixon in the background.
Dixon's on hot tires, he's on cold. You got to time this right here, Dixon. Don't get in there and get yourself jammed up and get on the push to pass here.
Whoa! Inside, forceful stuff from Scott Dixon. Now it's a drag race down the back.
This is a guy who's not afraid to wheel bang. Dixon, be careful.
Oh, that was close.
Inside to turn 4. Dixon, has he got it?
Whoa.
Rossi's hanging tough. Rossi's gone. No, he hangs on to it. Terrific racing.
He's got to get by him here in the next couple turns because if he gets to the Thunder Hill, he's going to have the tires up to temp.
Cold tires versus hot. Alexander Rossi, 2 of the title contenders. Scott Dixon and Rossi going hard at it.
Tires are up now, so he's gapped Dixon. Dixon had to get that done.
And here is the man out in front in the Schmidt-Peterson Honda, Robert Wickens, on a different strategy, slightly different strategy though to the guys like Alexander Rossi, Scott Dixon, Will Power, Joseph Newgarden. We'll see how it all pans out. The Canadians in front at the moment. What a race here at Mid-Ohio, the Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio. It's had a little bit of everything already, except a caution period. Yes, considering the wild way the weekend has transpired so far, there's been no yellows, and you're looking at the race leader, Robert Wickens, pitted on lap 15, and he has a monstrous 13+ second lead.
He is absolutely flying. He has the whole straightaway lead over Bauer. He's been laying down laps, Townsend, that are over a second a lap quicker, and he's on older tires.
Yeah, and for all these guys, Power, Hunter-Reay, Newgarden, that stayed out longer for the first stint, they lost that massive gap when they started to stack up to slower cars. There's Rossi. Now we think Rossi could maybe make it on one more stop. He went 29 laps on the first stint. Dixon did 26 laps. Kevin, do you hear anything about Rossi and fuel mileage at this point?
So when he was trying to hold off Scott Dixon, he obviously was using all the fuel available at that point. But he was then told after a lap, dial it back. So it's very clear that that's the goal. But they came in 1 lap with the numbers that Jan mentioned, getting to midpoint. So they're going to need a yellow or super save.
Meanwhile, Bourdais, Sebastian Bourdais has pulled off another impressive pass down at turn 4, and he's up 13 positions. He is really on the move.
And I think the teams that are considering tire compound choice are looking at Bourdais' pace on the Reds because he's put 24 laps on these Reds. He's still fast as you see contact with Bourdais and Veach, which we understand is under review. Remember when Veach did that with Hinchcliffe about 20 laps ago.
Got a run on him here, and Veach kind of protected the inside, committed Bourdais to the outside, but then moved back over and squeezed him in the brake zone. But Bourdais says, hey, I'm coming through anyway.
Yeah, I wonder though for Veach, that's a blind spot pass, so I don't know if he knew Bourdais was right there on his left rear.
So the top 5 all pitted on different laps. How is this going to work out, especially for Robert Wickens? Charlie Kimball driving for Carlin. He won this race back in 2013 in a similar fashion to what Robert Wickens is trying to do at the moment as well. Let's take a look at Charlie Kimball in today's Chevy Driver Profile.
5 things you don't know about Charlie Kimball. Oh man, this is gonna be hard. If I ever go back and work on my parents' avocado farm, that would make me a 6th generation farmer in Ventura County. I love the Indianapolis food scene. A few of my highlights are Tinker Street and Bluebeard. I love to be outdoors. My wife and I spent 3.5 weeks last year going through 8 national parks. I love to shovel snow, and it's not a lot of fun, but it's the only time I actually get warm in Indianapolis in the winter. My ideal car would actually be a Chevy pickup.
It's always good to get to know the drivers better in the Chevrolet driver profile, but as somebody who lives in Connecticut, I'm not sure about shoveling the snow business and how you can like that.
Come shovel some sand in
SoCal.
Malibu.
Welcome back, folks. Paul Tracy, Townsend Bell, Lee Diffie with you from Mid-Ohio, where we're gradually getting close to the halfway mark that has seen Alexander Rossi lead for 29 laps. Robert Wickens has led for the past 9 laps, and here he is. First-year driver in the Verizon IndyCar Series.
I tell you what, he's been flying, but now he's started to lose some pace. And look at this front tire is starting to come apart. I think he's either locked it up and put a big flat spot on it, or that red is starting to blister. We heard a radio transmission where they said, watch that front tire.
And of course, they have seen that he's on his way to pit road. They radioed to Robert Wickens saying, we want to see up there on that right front tire. They warned him, said, don't worry. They said, it's getting a bit scruffy. Right now, they're going to be giving him used blacks. So this should be the longer stint. Again, the play here for Robert Wickens is do a 3-stop race. Go, go, go. Don't worry about saving fuel. And 7.3 seconds will get you on the road as you want.
So for Robert Wickens, he'll run the blacks here. Now some of his competitors have blacks on right now during the stint, so they'll go back to reds presumably and be able to turn up the wick like Wickens just did.
Wickens drops back, comes out of the pits in 7th. He's going to be under threat here from Sato. Sato's not afraid to dive it down the inside, and he doesn't have to right there, but Jack Harvey makes a move on him down the back straightaway, having a nice run here for Schenck as he gets squeezed off at the end of the straightaway, but he'll have hot tires here.
Jack Harvey's kind of like the unofficial teammate as well to Robert Wickens, because the Meyer Shank organization, it's a collaborative effort with Schmidt-Peterson, and terrific to see that MSR car here, Sirius XM on the side. Mike Shank Racing became Meyer Shank Racing earlier this year when Jim Meyer, the CEO of Sirius XM Satellite Radio, said, hey, I want in on this. This is fun. And it's helped the team enormously, and today is a big day for them to be racing an IndyCar here at Mike Shank's home track. Here's Hunter Ray.
And he has been waiting and hoping and asking for this second stop, because that was a rough stint. So to be able to basically hold position most of the way, a win for him. You see the front wing adjustment for Ryan Hunter Ray. He said the front end was really evil in that section. So back out and see if this stint is a little better.
Tell you what, guys, the pit stop strategies here are all over the board for all these teams. As we look at King now leading the pits, having a great run today. This is one of his best races that we've seen him run this year.
Sure.
Ray Hall comes by, Bourdais, come back there. He's going to meet another guy up at the hairpin up here again on hot tires. He's been so aggressive, Bourdais, and we're going to see another move from him right here.
14 positions made. He's up to 10th.
He should be able to make easy work of Jordan King. Bourdais on fresh reds. Hard to get out of the pits for guys like Jordan King on the blacks. The cold tires, very difficult on the harder compound. There goes Bourdais.
Here's Dixon in for the second time today, Kev.
So Scott Dixon's done a nice job after not making it into the Firestone Fast 6, working his way into the top 5 from 9th, but he's going to have to go around Simon Pagenaud's tires. That bright yellow Menards car will pit right behind him. This is a set of scuffed reds going on. The alternates for Scott Dixon. Pagenaud right behind him has also done a nice job going from 17th into the top 10. Hunter Ray goes by. Dixon will come out behind him.
There was no easy in for Dixon there. Those Penske guys were all set up and made it a difficult turn in. Really short pit boxes here, Townsend. And those guys were expecting it to be tough, as we see Piggott makes a move around the outside of Mateus. He's got his teammate just in front of him, Kanan.
Just going back to that last round of stops, for Simon Pagenaud to be right there with Scott Dixon, it has been a very productive day for Pagenaud, coming from a less than satisfying qualifying spot. So some positivity there as we race closer to the halfway mark. Will Power, who is yet to win here, is in control. Meanwhile, the reigning champ and the defending race winner is right here.
And it's going to be so critical to watch how they blend back in. Is anybody going to blend into open track position? Newgarden is going with primaries this time. He's taking Sunoco fuel. Front wing adjustment. Back out as we watch for the rest of the field to go by. That is just over a 6-second stop for Newgarden. He gets out way ahead of Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Able to short fill it, 6 seconds. Really strong, as you said, Kevin. There you see Hunter-Reay in the background. So now the question is, how long does Rossi hang on? Does he still try to make this a 2-stop race? Because he's the only one in a position to do that now.
He's a little bit quicker, Rossi, than Power, only by 1/10 of a second. Right now he's 5 seconds behind the leader here, Will Power, who's been a bridesmaid here so many times looking for his first win. So this is on the bucket list.
Staying out to complete another one at least. Power in control, where he'd like to be when that checkered flag comes out. A reminder that NASCAR's drive for the playoffs takes a new turn as the Monster Energy Cup Series heads to Watkins Glen. That's next Sunday at 3 Eastern on NBC. And in a very similar field to here with all of the campers, etc., Watkins Glen weekend in summer for the Monster Energy Cup Series is so much fun. Let's talk more about Alexander Rossi and his drive to win here with Kev.
Well, Rob Edwards has made the strategy. It's pretty clear that you're going for 2 stops. How much do you have to save? Do you need any help, cautions to get there?
No, if it keeps padding out the way it is, we'll be fine. Just obviously see what happens, but no, he's good lap time and good fuel. He's doing a good job.
What changes that strategy? What if a caution comes in? Does that ruin that plan?
That will affect when we stop. I guess for now, we're hoping it goes green the whole way to the end.
What tires will you finish with? You know yet?
Blacks.
All right, thank you, Rob Edwards.
Well, Townsend, the question mark is, will he have enough pace saving fuel at the end of the race, and if guys are on reds and running hard wide open?
Well, think about this. 162 seconds of push to pass remaining as we see the Firestone telemetry for Rossi. We'll listen to a lift here. That's big fuel saves. Off the throttle, coast, 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 then brake. That's how you save gas at Mid-Ohio.
Well, he's got a lot of push to pass yet to use, but you can't use it when you're trying to save fuel. So it's going to be an interesting end of the race. If, like I said, if he's on old tires and he's having to save fuel, and you got guys like Wickens.
Oh, the rear brakes, okay.
He's asking about the rear brakes, about temperature on the rear brakes.
So there are quite a few different approaches here today, and one of those different ones is at Schmidt-Peterson with Robert Wickens. Let's find out more. Here's Jan.
Yes, and that'd be Pierce Phillips on the radio. Now, we just spoke with Rob Edwards. It looks like they're going for 2 stops. You're on 3. Which do you think is the better play?
We'll find out at the checkered flag, won't we? I mean, it's all about where you catch traffic.
He's talking on the radio. I'll see if I can do a follow-up. All right, we'll let him talk to Robert. But I did look in the pits here to see what they might finish. And I think when they saw the way the degradation was happening on that right front tire that he had earlier, I think you're going to see him on blacks to finish the race. Again, the 1-stopper, or 2-stopper, I should say. You want the blacks for longevity. I think they're a little nervous here about putting reds on again.
Well, he definitely had big pace on the reds with the last few laps, Townsend. It really fell off when that tire blistered up. As we see this pack of cars, this is not helping him because he's just stuck behind these guys, and his pace is in the 109.3s, and the leaders are in the 8s. And look at Bourdais again. This guy's an animal.
Wow. Does it again.
That's for 8th position. And Sebastian Bourdais passed 16 cars so far, Katie. Started all the way at the back.
Yeah, Townsend, the team just said, we really need you to start going easy on that push to pass because we think you're going to need it when this race starts coming to a close. I'm standing in their pit box right now. The team just got out another set of sticker reds, so it looks like Sebastian Bourdais will go red, red, red. Remember, he has these stickers available because he didn't need them in qualifying yesterday because he started 24th after he hit the tire barriers in turn 2.
He might drive all the way through the whole field to a win the way he's going. And look at his reds, Townsend. There's not a mark on those tires like the way Wickens were coming apart.
Well, if you would ever try to find a positive in terms of crashing on your outlap and qualifying, is that you have sticker reds in the race, and he's putting them to good use. As you see Wickens trying to work his way around Sato, that would put Sato a lap down. Sato's already a lap down.
Now this is not good for Wickens' fight to try to overhaul Rossi and Power here. Power's hit the pit lane. We'll see where they cycle out here, Kevin.
He's also really working on that in and that out lap. He's set to blend in back in about 4th position. He's really going to be racing Joseph Newgarden and Ryan Hunter-Reay, so watch for that. They're going from primaries to another set of primaries, which seems to be the preferred tire, especially if you're going to try to run a full stint. Back out after a front wing adjustment, and let's watch traffic coming through. How's he going to blend in?
There goes Wickens. So the question is, where's his teammate? Where's Joseph Newgarden? There he is.
He's right there. He's got to block the inside here. He's got Jack Harvey behind him. Back it up. Oh, that's tight. He pushed him way wide.
2 years in a row, Joseph Newgarden could care less about any team tactics. Newgarden going to the front.
Well, Will Power's back on the push to pass. He wants to come back, but his tires are cold right now, so you're not going to outbrake him there.
I really thought that was going to be a disaster. I didn't think Power knew that Newgarden was going for it.
Well, I think he knew. You got to have eyes in the back of your head, but look at this guy. Look at this pass.
This was earlier in the race, and it was for the lead of the race at that point in time. One way, then the other. Super decisive, very forceful. No worries there, but this was a little more awkward and a little more risky on your teammate.
Oh, he had to take a lot of curb, Joseph Newgarden, to avoid the contact.
Definitely threw it in there and trusted his teammate would give him some room.
Whoa, that is a dangerous place to duck inside as you see Ryan Hunter-Reay take a look.
He's going to have another look, and look at Dixon. He might capitalize on both of these guys here if they get tangled up. Watch, all of them are going to be on push to pass now.
At the back of this straight, heading down to turn 4. So Hunter-Reay is already after Power. They've left him both on push to pass. Look at Power looking in that left mirror.
Power committed to block the inside. He moves, fades back over. That's the old Pruitt fade, but Hunter-Reay all over the back looking for the outside. He's going to run off the track. Look at Dixon.
Dixon's back here watching this action thinking, okay, I'm leading the points, but I need to continue to finish in the top 5 because guys like Rossi and Newgarden are being super aggressive. Dixon right now as they run would go from a 62-point lead down to 44 points in the championship. That's a big chunk lead.
Big chunk. See Hunter-Reay there, light it up. Keep your eyes on that yellow DHL car.
Dixon cannot afford to get into too much of a battle and knock a wing off with one of these guys. He's already been really close to some other guys and almost had some wheel banging. But look at Hunter-Reay. He's right there. Going to have another run at Power right here.
3 champions, 3 Indy 500 winners. Quality driving and drivers right here.
But at the front, Alexander Rossi, if you believe Rod Edwards on fuel, and I think he's telling the truth, no worries for Alexander Rossi. A 17-second lead over Wickens. Everybody has one more stop to go.
Been more than 150 on-track passes. Haven't the crowd been treated to something special today? As Alexander Rossi driving his own race. This is one tank you will want to jump into. It's Shark Tank, weeknights starting at 7 Eastern on CNBC. Get yours. As we welcome you back to Mid-Ohio, this is the Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio. And running lap 55 of 90, so nicely into the second half of this race. Alexander Rossi on screen for Andretti Autosport has a 20-second lead, but is the only one in this field on a 2-stop strategy.
Well, you look in front here, he's got nobody in front of him. Open track, Townsend, he can run his own pace. And you look at the guy here, he's got lapped cars in front of him. And we heard on the radio he was complaining that these guys are ruining his race. He's stuck doing 109s, and Rossi is 108.1, a whole second a lap quicker.
Let's take a listen to Rossi's radio, excuse me, Wicken's radio earlier.
These guys are destroying my race.
They're running.
We know, man, but we didn't have any other option. We had to pit when we did, so let's just deal with it. Eyes down. You're doing a good job. Keep it up.
They're running their own race, Townsend, and they're just destroying his race, but Rossi's just making the mileage and driving away.
Well, not only is it hurting Wicken's pace, it hurts Wicken's ability to put pressure on Rossi, who just needs to save a little fuel to make it on one more stop. We're at lap 55. Rossi probably going to pit right around lap 60, 61. The less pressure Rossi's under, the more fuel he can burn to the end of the race.
Let's not forget that the delta for him to get in and out of the pits and be in the lead is about 25 seconds. So he's building that lead. It's now 21 and a half seconds lead. A couple more seconds and he can do it, stop and be back out in front on fresh tires.
Well, and Wicken still has to make a stop anyways. So Rossi very much in the driver's seat for this race win.
Behind Robert Wickens, it's Joseph Newgarden, Will Power, Ryan Hunter-Ray, Scott Dixon 6th, Pagano 7th. Bourdais has been the flyer, Ray Hall, and then this car we arrive to now, Zach Veach, an Ohio native performing in front of lots of family and friends here today. And if he can pull off a top 10, Katie, that'll be a satisfying day.
Yesterday he told me he thought he was going to make the Firestone Fast 6 but had some trouble in qualifying, and this is again the very end or coming to the end of his rookie season, and I asked him where he thought he's improved the most, and he said really it's my comfortability level because everything has just slowed down. He's able to make more precise decisions on and off track, and he's extremely confident running in the top 10 today, Lee.
Now here's something to watch for the three stoppers, which is most of the field except Rossi, the whole field except Rossi. Who decides to gamble right in the next 2 laps here and be the first to make the last stop and try to put the other drivers in the danger zone if the yellow does come out? Well, I think we might see somebody gamble.
We might see these two countrymen really get into it here. Bourdais has closed the gap now to Pagano. He's been on the move, passing guys straight up. And Pagano for 7th is trying to have one of his better results of the year. But look at all these guys here, all this traffic up front, all the leaders here with Rossi long gone right now.
This has been a spectacular drive from Sebastian Bourdais. Not just the big overtaking moves and in places that you don't typically see it, the drive holistically.
Yeah, look at who he's caught. He's caught Power, Hunter-Ray, and Dixon on the same strategy from dead last. How many yellows? 0. He's done it just on raw pace.
So a little earlier in the show, as these two guys, the two Frenchmen, chase Scott Dixon, you heard Paul talk about that Dixon, there may be some big money dangling in front of Scott Dixon. The reason why he's in a contract year, but he's already publicly stated, and to you, Robin Miller, that he does have several options. Tell us more.
Okay, he's the #1 free agent in the paddock. We know that. His contract expires in a few days with Chip Ganassi. He's been there almost 2 decades, Lee. So Chip's obviously one of the guys that's made an offer. I talked to Zach Brown last week. If McLaren runs 2 cars, they want Scott Dixon. Honda wants Scott Dixon. Today, a couple drivers told me, hey, Miller, guess what? Roger Penske wants Scott Dixon. So it's good to be Scott Dixon right now while all these guys looking for him. Rossi's coming into the pit right now as we're talking about our boy Scott Dixon, so he's stopping right on schedule, boys.
And here comes Alexander Rossi making what we are pretty certain is going to be his final stop. Fuel is good enough that he was told he could use overtake on that lap. More than 23 seconds is the advantage. It's primaries and a turn of front wing out. Now, meanwhile, he should come out about even with Robert Wickens, and we know their history on track today. But don't forget, Wickens still has to pit one more time, but it's still going to be fun to watch.
So Wickens takes care of that pretty easily and understandably.
Absolutely no reason for Rossi to do anything here except just keep cruising. Don't challenge. Don't stir the hornet's nest with your rival all season with Wickens.
Wickens has got a pit, so he's really in the catbird seat now, doing those long runs, committed to the two-stop strategy.
Experience, Paul, of Rob Edwards reminding Rossi, just settle right back into our strategy. We've got to get good mileage to the end. Don't do anything differently. Just as you said, Wickens will have to stop soon.
A little bit of pressure from behind from Harvey right there on hot tires. Newgarden, Power, Laced, Hunter Ray, Dixon, Pagenaud, and Bourdais from the back of the field.
I'm sure when we speak to the drivers at the end of today's race, there's going to be a lot of them saying, that was fun out there. We had a lot of passes, it was a lot of fun. But meanwhile, there's a lot of serious business at the front, considering when you think about Scott Dixon trying to work his way up. Championship points, 62 with the lead coming in. As he runs right now, 54. There's cars starting to get a little bit loose and ragged.
We're going to have some action here.
Dixon was sliding off that last corner. Dixon wants to make a move on Hunter Ray here.
Here we go, on Lace.
Oh, no.
It's a lapped car. Lace is a lapped car. Get out of the way.
Remember the heads-up driving from Laced earlier this year at Long Beach when Dixon and Bourdais were trucking it down into turn one. That is a very good job from a young driver understanding the big picture. Matthias Laced showing wisdom beyond his years.
Into the latter third of this Indy 200 here at Mid-Ohio. How's it going to shake out?
Sebastian Bourdais pits for the final time today. He's happy with the car, just wants a tire pressure adjustment, no wing changes, triple stint on reds. Kevin?
Scott Dixon pits from 6th position. It's been a pretty decent day for the guy with a very solid lead in the championship. Final stop for him, he blends back in.
So Dixon and Bourdais back out on track with 20 odd laps to go here, 26, 27 laps to go. I'm going to show you our Chevrolet driver update, and man we ride with here, Joseph Newgarden, has made the most progress. Let's get back to Katie for the time being.
And the Verizon IndyCar Series, guys, is not the only series racing here today. So we see Joseph Newgarden peel off into the pits. But we'll throw it up to Kevin.
Joseph Newgarden coming in. You see Takuma Sato peeling off right in front of him. Newgarden second in the championship, trying to make the best of this day. Behind him, you see the bright yellow Menards car of Simon Pagenaud, who's had a magnificent run from 17th up into the top 7th or 8th. Pagenaud, by the way, has skunked red with only a couple of laps on him. Newgarden back out in a strong stop, just over 7 seconds.
Here comes Scott Dixon. Look at Pagenaud on the right.
He's going to have him easy. He might get Newgarden as well. He's just up the road there. If he can close that gap to Newgarden.
There's Newgarden on cold tires on cold blacks, which are very slow on the outlap. Dixon on hot red, so Dixon's going to be coming this lap.
Jack Harvey having a look. Pagenaud protects the inside.
And as we suspected, Robert Wickens is going to go for a tire pressure adjustment, but he is going to stay with the Firestone Blacks. So they need to get this done quickly. We see some other cars going by, including Hunter Ray.
Hunter Ray was really working on the in-lap. He's going to try to jump somebody here on the exchange. Primaries, front wing adjustments, Ryan Hunter Ray back out. And here comes the race down the main straightaway. And we see Scott Dixon and Joseph Newgarden are coming at him.
Oh, they're going to get him as well. So they're going to whip right by Hunter Ray here on cold tires. And Dixon now is going to have a look on the next straightaway, Townsend. Here he's on reds. he'll be on the push to pass here, so he's right there. Nice tight line.
Dixon
nice
looks
tight
strong.
line.
This is championship points battle.
On the button behind you.
Top two in the championship going at it.
That's a double move.
On your outside.
It's not a double move. There's a kink in the back straight.
I'd like to see. Don't knock that wing off, Dixon. This is the guy you're fighting in the championship, but I got a feeling that Newgarden did the Pruitt fade big time on Dixon on the back straightaway.
I saw no such fade taking place. That looked well within reason.
Let's have a look at it from a different angle. And you make your
here we
mind
go.
up.
He chooses, takes the inside, right? Come to the king. Now he's fading back. He's going to fade him back the other way. Watch. Comes back across on him right here.
No fade. That was a car length between Newgarden and the grass.
How about this view?
Well executed by Newgarden. You've gone quiet. You taking back that fade call?
We'll wait and see if it's under review.
Scott Pruitt's dialing in right now, furious at the NBC call line.
Well, he's gapped him now on these fresh blacks, so he's got a little bit of breathing room. But right now, Will Power still on track. Rossi, the leader again. Will Power is yet to pit, but it's a big gap back to Wickens. It's 23 seconds back.
I gotta say, it's been a tough weekend for Simon Pagino, but he's clawed his way right back into contention, a mistake-free drive.
7th place at the moment, fighting Ryan Hunter-Reay. Then Sebastian Bourdais tucked in there again. Credit where it's due to Sebastian Bourdais and that Dale Coyne Racing with Vassar and Sullivan, the Sealmaster car. Really nice work.
And Hunter-Reay just needs to hold on the blacks. It'll come back to him in about 10 laps. Right now, the advantage is for Pagino and Bourdais, but Hunter-Reay knows they just need to hang on to this position. But for Hunter-Reay, he only has 22 seconds of push to pass left. Pagino has 2 seconds left. Pagino now out of push to pass. That was the last call for Pagino. Last chance to use the button.
Up on the curve big time. Bourdais is going to get a run because he got a little bit wide on the exit. Bourdais can brake so deep, he's going to take a try.
And all these guys, Dixon, Hunter-Reay, Pagino, Bourdais, they have burned push to pass all race to get to where they are now. Meanwhile, Alexander Rossi, 128 seconds left.
Yeah, Will Power 47, Wickens 47, Newgarden 38, Dixon, Hunter-Reay at 16 seconds, Pagino 0.
Fresh out of cash, so he's going to have to make it work on tires.
Yeah, Bourdais behind Pagino, he's got 16 seconds, but for whatever reason, he's just lost ground. Claw his way back up, he might be able to get Pagino because Pagino is out of the push to pass.
Hunter-Reay gets a good exit there.
Well, and he can use the push to pass too.
He doesn't need to,
really doesn't have to. He doesn't have any ability to get a good run.
Hunter-Reay knows the moment you get to the exit of the keyhole, you look in your mirrors, and if there's a little gap, you've got nothing to worry about, knowing. And we understand there's a car off.
Take it away, Kev.
He's got a set of scuffed reds because it's a shorter stint this time, only 20 laps, and I'm told about 20 is the most you want to go on scuffed reds because they really get evil after that. So Power, final stop for him, and he's going to be coming out trying to get into 4th position. Watch for him racing with Joseph Newgarden and Scott Dixon as they blend back in. Rossi going by, Wickens going by. Here comes Newgarden.
Newgarden and Dixon.
It's going to be close between these two when they get up to the keyhole. We're going to have a major drag race down the back straightaway here. We're going to see if Newgarden tries to muscle Power again at the end of the back straightaway. Big sideways there.
But Power's on red tires, so a lot easier on this outlap.
He lost his drive off the corner. He had a huge opposite lock coming off the corner. And if he doesn't get Power by the corner in the back on those reds, Power will be able to drive away from Newgarden on blacks.
This is the fight for 3rd. Rossi, Wickens, Power, Newgarden, Dixon, your top 5.
Rossi now out to 21 seconds. It looked like it was all going wrong in the beginning of the race by staying out and everybody pitting, but man, he's been so smooth.
Managing that fuel burn, managing traffic control, and managing this race, Alexander Rossi. There's a little break in the Verizon IndyCar Series at the conclusion of today's race for a couple of weekends free, but it continues from Pocono Raceway. Join us for a 500-miler at the Tricky Triangle. That's Sunday, August 19, and coverage begins at 1:30 Eastern on NBCSN. Now, what about this? Watch the Napa car of Alexander Rossi. Whoop. Just coming out of the keyhole, right at the top of the hill.
Sometimes it's hard, Paul, with a massive lead to keep focus when everything's under control, nice and chill.
Always danger out there when you drop a wheel off the other side of the curve. You pick up a rock, you cut the tire, could end up going flat. So easy to drop a wheel off here. There's rocks and debris out there that could cut down the tire very easily. But he's got a big lead now. It's down to 18 seconds. It was 22, so he's making fuel mileage that he has to make, getting through some lapped cars. But as you can see there, it's dropped down a little bit, but he's got not many laps to go.
18 seconds.
18
laps and 126 seconds of push to pass sitting in the bank account.
Big battle here. You've got all these championship guys. Every one of these guys in this group of drivers here has won a championship.
There you go, points as they run on your left side of your screen. So 62, remember, was the advantage to Scott Dixon coming into today. 46 leaving as positions are at the moment. Will Power has stabilized his Verizon Chevy to be able to keep out in front of his teammate Joseph Newgarden.
I wonder if Ryan Hunter-Reay might have something to say with Scott Dixon in the closing lap, something to say in terms of position, because Hunter-Reay on those blacks, they're starting to exercise their advantage a little bit. You see Pagenaud, who is on reds, not nearly as aggressive, not able to challenge Hunter-Reay like he was able to do earlier. So I think Hunter-Reay might have something to deal with.
I think Bourdais might have something right here. He's on reds and got pushed to pass, and Pagenaud has none. So watch out, Pagenaud. He's got to run right now as he protects the inside, makes him go the long way around. Bourdais done many passes on the outside, and he's got him on the push to pass.
Done. So that's from last again to 7th. Incredible work from Sebastian Bourdais.
4 seconds. 4 seconds of push to pass left for Bourdais, but Hunter-Reay has 10.
Hunter-Reay only has 10, Dixon only has 15, so this could be a great battle in the closing laps. Now Hunter-Reay with a big wiggle, and you can see Hunter-Reay immediately checking his mirrors. So Hunter-Reay wondering, where did that Bourdais guy come from? He was dead last to start this thing.
They said the reds at the beginning when we talked to guys in the pit lane. They said, well, we're going to get off the reds right away because they go away, but not for this guy. He's been moving forward reds all the way through the race, and he's the hard charger right now.
The irony is that Bourdais was so fast on the blacks to start the weekend in practice, and they struggled to find balance on the reds. Well, Frank Hampson and Bourdais have figured it out, and he's going to have a run here.
Look at this. He's got so much entry speed, and it carves through the middle. He's got to run.
He did not push it. He did not push it.
Meaning he did not push to pass. Ryan Hunter-Reay has a look at the second. Goes deep on the brakes down into 4.
Was that a defensive move?
Well, the question is, was it a reaction?
Looked like a reaction to me. Bourdais stuck his nose down, and Hunter-Reay moved. So we'll see if that comes under investigation.
13 and a half laps to go. And Alexander Rossi comfortably out in front over Robert Wickens, the lead rookie in this year's series. Check this out.
See, Bourdais now gets a look right here. I don't think he moved over. That was fair. That's clean racing.
You know what that was? That was Bourdais just showing a nose in the mirror, just trying to put on a little pressure.
Well, he took some push to pass from Hunter-Reay. Hunter-Reay now down to 6. Bourdais still on 4.
his willpower. Team Penske teammate Joseph Newgarden, and then Scott Dixon.
Graham Rahal has now dragged himself up into the fight, the hometown guy. We haven't seen much of him all day. It's been a quiet day, but now he's on the tail end of these lead group of guys here.
Well, and level set with the guys in front of him. Graham Rahal only 7 seconds of push to pass left, so. Graham Rahal, though, told me earlier in the weekend that he was very happy with the balance of his car on both red and black tires. So we're 13 laps to go. And Rahal, always a great racer at the end of these things.
Say the 25 and the 9 is under review right now. Hunter Ray has lost a little bit of ground to the back of Dixon.
28 and 18 are under review. So that's Hunter Ray and Bourdais, what we just saw. I would expect that to say no action, and in fact, we just get the word no action on that review.
Well, it was very similar to the recent move by Joseph Newgarden, wasn't it? It's just good, hard defensive driving. Let's talk more about the race lead-up with just 12 and a half to go, really, Kev.
And no dramas. He's maintaining that gap, running consistent lap times. Rob Edwards says you're good on fuel, and your lap times are what we want. This was a proud moment. We saw the emotion yesterday from Alexander Rossi. One of the reasons he said we really struggled the first year and a half that I came to IndyCar on road courses. It started to turn mid-season last year. Remember the win at Watkins Glen late in the season, and it's been strong this season. And this is one of the strongest drives yet we've seen from the 2016 Indy 500 winner. Alexander Rossi leading, trying to bring it home.
Watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Tag Heuer, official timepiece of the IndyCar Series, and by Fifth Third Bank, official partner of Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. This is banking, a Fifth Third better. Yes, it was Pirate Weekend here this weekend at Mid-Ohio. That was MSR's Meyer Shank Racing's Jack Harvey out and about discovering it. As we welcome you back, Lee Diffie, Paul Tracy, Townsend Bell, Katie Hargett, Robin Miller, Jan Beekes and Kevin Lee, the whole gang here at Mid-Ohio. And we've got just 9 laps to go. It has been a race with lots of interesting, different strategy calls as far as how many are we going to do, 2 or 3 stops, which laps are we going to come in on. But dominating them all is Andretti Autosport and its driver, Alexander Rossi, who continues to boast more than a 17-second lead over Robert Wickens. Here he is. Let's go for a ride. Check out Sebastian Bourdais, second current shot. Thought about it, thought better.
Hunter Ray, no push to pass. He sucked him into using him. Bourdais has 4, Townsend.
Hunter Ray is bone dry, but he does have the blacks. But interestingly enough, Bourdais just hasn't seen the tire wear we expected on the reds. Remember, these were sticker reds. That's the benefit, if you could call it that, of the qualifying issue for Bourdais. He was able to start this final stint on sticker reds, but I'm surprised at how good the pace is with only 8 laps left on those red tires.
8 laps to go, long way to go. What do you got on Wickens here, Jan?
Well, very interesting. We know that he stopped a few laps later than did Alexander Rossi. But when you look at the gap that's been on top of the screen, and now you see it's gone down to 17.2, you would think, well, being on a 3-stop strategy, why is he not closing in faster? They told him right after the pit stop, okay, we're marginal on fuel, use no push to pass. In other words, they cannot give him the full go because they didn't get it completely full, or at least their setup did not allow him to get the mileage to use push to pass.
Remember a few races ago, Wickens was just baffled by the mileage that some of his competitors were getting, and I think it's the case of that first year in IndyCar, kind of learning all the tricks of the trade. because Wickens, his final stint's only going to be 25 laps. Rossi's doing 29 and 30 lap stints.
His history in racing coming from DTM, really short sprint races, no concern with fuel, but right now, this is the battle on track right here. Bourdais has 4 seconds of push to pass. He's hounding the back of Hunter Ray. Hunter Ray's car, the blacks look like they're starting to go away as he starts to lay down a little rubber off the corners right here.
Pagenaud got some high curve action there, trying to hang with these two. Time running out. Now if Robert Wickens stays where he is, which he should, that'll be his 4th consecutive top 5 result. Back-to-back podiums. He got a podium, his home race, his very first home IndyCar race in Toronto.
Bourdais on the button.
Here he comes.
Hunter Ray has nothing to defend with.
He almost hit the back of him. Who's going to go on the outside here? He's going to take it.
Maybe not.
Oh, so close. They almost hit Hunter Ray out of the gray. He's going to lose a spot to Pagenaud. Pushes him wide. Man, this is good racing.
Terrific stuff. I'm sure Hunter Ray's wondering, where's the advantage of running long on the black tires? These guys on reds are beating up on me. We ride with Graham Rahal, who's now all over Pagenaud.
Bourdais checked out now in a couple of corners. He's out clear of these guys. Hunter Ray is hanging on these blacks.
I think Bourdais will catch Dixon and Newgarden easily, but unfortunately Bourdais now out of push to pass. Dixon has 15, Newgarden 30 seconds.
And only 6 laps to go.
Rahal on 4 seconds of push to pass. Dixon has 15. He might be able to challenge Newgarden.
Well, Bourdais 6th. If he can finish with a top 5 after starting last, as we see this pass again with Hunter Ray.
Hunter Ray protects the inside, makes him commit to the inside, moves back out, and man, he's been so brave. All these outside passes Bourdais has made, man, he's been on it today.
Hunter Ray tries to hold back here, but at this point you're well offline, off grip. I was just going to say, if Bourdais can come home with a top 5 after starting last in a race with no yellows, that is remarkable.
Look at all the marbles off track.
Oh, Graham
Rahal has an off. Beach right there. Beach has a lot of push to pass left, where he's got 3 seconds now. Rahal is now out. What a great run by Beach. We haven't seen much of him all day, but look, he's right up here with all these previous champions, Graham Rahal, so that's a great run for him too.
Interesting, guys, that this is the first race I think we've seen in the last several years since push to pass where this many drivers are out with this many laps to go.
These guys are going to have to race each other these straight up on speed. They have no push to pass assistance, these 3 guys.
Just a fair old 5-lap scrap. And you see the blue and white 5th, 3rd bank Honda there. Graham Rahal has been able to get back up onto Simon Pagenaud fairly efficiently. Alexander Rossi's lead has been trimmed again to under 16 seconds, but look at that. There's no immediate pressure at all. We're waiting to see Robert Wickens. There is the familiar Lucas Oil red number 6. And there is Will Power. So a little more pressure on Wickens over these closing laps.
Well, Power's closing the gap to Wickens. You've got Sato there, who almost had a look down the inside of Wickens, who's a lap down. But right now, the guy on the move right here, maybe could get another 2nd place finish, is this man right here, Will Power. And he has 35 seconds of push to pass left.
We talked about going on runs at the start of the race, going on points runs lead. Dixon came into this one with a 62-point lead. Rossi was in 3rd. Now Rossi would be in 2nd, 46 points behind. There's every reason to think Rossi could go to Pocono and be strong, Portland and be strong, show up at St. Louis and get all the way to Sonoma, very easily level with Dixon. So this is huge for Alexander Rossi to start what could be a great championship run.
With this victory, in just 3 laps time. There's his father, Peter.
4.1 into 10, 4.1.
Who was instrumental in his son's career, especially the move from the US to Europe and in the junior formulae. And it has been a long road, and the guy on the right there has been there every step of the way. But think about this. There's various things that play out here. Rossi could be our 6th different winner in as many years here in Mid-Ohio. A win eludes Will Power yet again. Dixon is denied a victory. Championship tightens up. So much has been played out today with 4 races remaining this season.
Still saving a ton of fuel. He's got to run certain lap time, certain pace. You hear him.
You're about to go. The 10's not for position. You can let him go if you need to.
Good instruction from Rob Edwards. He's a master on the radio, master strategist. No pressure. You can let the lap car go by if you want.
You know, I've been thinking a lot about all this chatter about Scott Dixon being up for grabs and the team's going after him. If Dixon did leave to another team, you'd have to think that Chip Ganassi would take a look at a big check to Alexander Rossi based on what he's achieved in this series the last few years.
Oh, the guy behind him on the weekends.
Yeah. Might be a better value. Hasn't won it in 500 yet. Certainly has a chance to, the way he's driven on ovals, Robert Wickens.
Before we go and before we run out of time in this race, I want to pay credit to a former Formula One team owner and IndyCar team owner, a lovely man who passed away recently, Mo Nunn. Also Dave Mirage, Le Mans winning sports car team owner and ALMS sports car team owner, left us and passed away recently. And of course Sergio Marchionne, President and CEO of Ferrari, CEO of Fiat Chrysler. Really a lot of sadness in the racing world lately with some iconic figures, and our thoughts are with their respective families.
Ed Brown looking to get back on the lead lap.
Ed Brown or Ed Jones?
Or Ed Jones, sorry, looking to get back on the lead lap, and he does. Rossi easily lets him go by an extra lap. So Jones.
Rossi needs to soak this up. Look, round past the hill, all the fans. That's what it's about here at Mid-Ohio, grabbing a chair and a cooler and sitting on the hillside and watching some classic road racing at an amazing circuit. Qualifying on the pole yesterday meant so much to this guy. He doesn't show a lot of passion, but boy, did he yesterday, as Kevin told us earlier. And now, with his strategist, to win this in this such a dramatic way. How about that? Alexander Rossi.
Great job. Great job.
Victorious at Mid-Ohio. And that's big. He said, I am in this championship hunt. I am not giving up on it. Robert Wickens comes home in a fine second ahead of Will Power. But this is massive for Alexander Rossi in the quest for his maiden IndyCar championship.
Well, in a 23-point gap over Dixon for this race, which leads to 46 points. Alexander Rossi now sits behind Dixon in the championship with 4 races to go, Paul. It's on.
Oh, it's completely on. Man, I'm still trying to catch my breath. What a race. Action all the way through the field. Let the donuts begin, Katie. Oh, he got it stuck. No. He got it stuck.
That's maybe one thing he hasn't mastered yet. That could be Rossi's first donut attempt.
Unfortunately, the car is high-centered.
Well, as Alexander Rossi has a unique victory celebration, we're going to check in with his dad, Peter Rossi, who has been there every step of the way. And Peter, it's hard to believe that just 3 years ago, really, we were questioning Alex's future.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't know either when he came here, and he didn't get the Formula One opportunity at that time with Manor, and Michael and Mario called, and it worked out.
Now, obviously, this is the right decision, right?
Yeah, he's happy here in IndyCar, and he's got a nice contract with Andretti Honda, and the competition's great, and you can see that the wins are elusive. He'll appreciate this one.
You're a little bit stoic, just like Alexander. What's he like behind the scenes, though?
You know him, Katie. I mean, he has fun too, but he's pretty serious behind the wheel.
Your to see this championship battle closing up nicely, Lee.
That's good. There's a nice reflection time that Alexander can have there while he waits to be rescued. Oh well, sometimes those kind of things happen. It won't take anything away from what is a fine victory, the 4th of his career. We're all done here at Mid-Ohio, but giving you a heads up, there's about 14 or 15 laps still to go at Pocono in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series race there, as Alexander Rossi has been able to get rescued, get help from the AMR safety team, refire the Napa machine, and get going. Much to all of that adulation. Let's hear from the guy who chased him home, Jan.
Yes, and of course he equals his best career finish, does Robert Wickens, with a second. I know you thought the win was on the cards today. You had a 3-stop strategy that was going perfectly, but did you think someone like Rossi could do it in 2?
Yeah, when everyone lined up on the grid on new tires, on new reds, I knew they were trying to 2-stop. So we stuck to our guns. I thought strategy worked out. Problem is on that on my 3rd stint there, I just got stuck in a whole gaggle of cars, and unfortunately they were on reds, I was on blacks, and I couldn't make it through. And just loads of time. I was probably losing about a second a lap for a good 10-15 laps. So it's unfortunate. I think our 3-stop could have worked. It would have been racy. It would have been definitely probably last couple of laps I would have caught him, but nevertheless, P5 to P2, hard to complain.
Well, it was a great day for you as well, but one of the keys here, and the booth was talking about how it takes experience to get the really top fuel mileage. Here you're doing a fantastic job. You have a 3-stop strategy, but what does it take to the next level to get those big numbers so you can use push to pass, let's say, at the end of a stint?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Our 3-stop strategy allowed me just to push from the beginning, so it was a fun race for me. It was just quality laps every lap, trying to pull out a gap, and that second stint there where I was able to pull out a 14-second lead there it felt pretty good, and I knew it obviously wasn't going to hold on, but like I said, that 3rd stint really killed us being stuck in traffic.
All right, just an incredible season this year for Robert Wickens as a rookie. He wants more, but wow, what a debut, Katie.
And Jan, 10 races here for Will Power and still not a win here at Mid-Ohio. Did you have anything else for him today, Will?
No, I mean, everyone's so good in this series. Unless you have everything perfect, we just weren't quite good enough on blacks. Really struggled to get up to speed, but very good on reds. But still a good day, for the Verizon 12 car. Obviously, another full green race. I can't believe it. I mean, it's just a series full of really good drivers now, and no one makes mistakes. And came down to strategy.
And as we see a battle here with you and your teammate Joseph Newgarden, it looked like a lot of fun. There were some hard battles out there.
Yeah, there was. Joseph, as I was coming out of the pits, had a good battle with, and then Ryan Hunter-Ray, we battled pretty hard there while I was trying to get up to speed. So, it's good battles out there and a good 3rd place finish.
And now the winner has finally made his way to victory lane.
And Alexander Rossi climbs atop his Napa Andretti Autosport car. Win number 4 in his career, 2nd this season. He cuts the gap in the championship to 46 on Scott Dixon. We saw the emotion yesterday when he won the pole. He told me road courses have been an issue for them since he came to IndyCar. Safe to say, I think they've started to figure some things out. A hug from his dad, Peter, J.F. Thorman, one of the Andretti executives. There's Rob Edwards, who made the call on strategy. We'll ask about that in a moment, but Alex, congratulations. We saw that emotion yesterday for the pole, what that meant to you. Now, it's not your first road course win, but it was very dominant. What's it mean to you?
It's what we needed, man. We said coming into this weekend we have to execute for 5 weekends in a row, so this is the start of that, hopefully, and the Napa Andretti team they were so on it today. Gave me an amazing race car, and this one's for them. I mean, it was a great strategy all day. We knew we could 2-stop it if we committed early, and that's what we did. So great fuel mileage from Honda, great tire life from Firestone, so really an all-around perfect day.
So late in the first stint, when Newgarden got by you, I could hear you on the radio saying, this isn't working. Were you getting worried about that strategy?
It wasn't Joseph that I was concerned about. It was the lap traffic, but it ended up working out anyways because they couldn't hit a fuel number. So on races like that, you just got to be really patient, and it's hard sometimes. But Rob is a very calming force, and just talked me through it, and we were able to manage it.
Were you always planning from the drop of the green flag to do it on 2 stops?
No, we were planning on seeing if we could hit a number. And if we could, then we were going to do 2 stops. So it was a little bit up to me to see if I could manage it. And when we were able to get it pretty easily, then yeah, we committed.
How much fuel is left?
Well, enough to do a half donut, get high centered, stall, restart, and make my way back to pit lane. So never a dull moment.
We talked about the championship before, and you weren't going to get into that. Now that you've got a win and you've cut it a little bit, does that allow you to think a little bit more about the possibilities with 4 to go?
I mean, we're thinking about it. We're just also focused on race wins. So we'll take a very well-deserved break for the whole team leading into Pocono. We've been strong there the past 2 years, and just go and try and repeat what we did today.
Congratulations. Go celebrate with the rest of your team. Well done.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Alexander Rossi in the new victory lane here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course puts down a beat down with the largest margin of victory in a rotor street course in almost 2 years.
That was a big one for sure. And good to hear Alexander have a little bit of humor about the post-race celebrations. Good day for Andretti Autosport as well. You're looking at victory lane here at Mid-Ohio, and of course the drivers are the center of attention and get a lot of the adulation, but this is a team sport, and we congratulate the 2017, the Andretti Napa Honda, because you know why? It was Andretti Autosport's first victory here in the Verizon IndyCar Series. That one's kind of hard to believe, isn't it? Let's head down and hear from some more drivers.
Yes, and the still championship point leader, Scott Dixon, is now down to 46. But the first discussion we had was seeing what Alexander Rossi did makes you second guess, thinking, man, should we have gone for 2?
Yeah, it was hard. We were kind of in that no man's land of going for 3, then going for 2. We weren't concentrating, or I wasn't concentrating enough, I think, on getting the mileage that I needed to. The Honda engine did a superb job, and I think, you could get it easy as he did. Rossi did very well, but yeah, it was just one of those days where we'd kind of pit to try and get track position, and then we'd have somebody come out in front of us, or we'd catch somebody, and then we just never had the speed. But we had the fastest race lap by over half a second. I think the car had speed. Later in the run too, we'd wear off the left front tire and just couldn't get the car to turn. But PNC Bank guys did a hell of a job. Pit stops were flawless. Just couldn't get the track position that we needed.
Now, there were a lot of close moments out there. Here we see you with Alexander Rossi. Was this fun today? This is pretty hair-raising.
Yeah, it was definitely close with Rossi. He did a superb job, on cold tires, and you never know how much or how deep to go, obviously, in that corner too, especially when you're running on, off-track, offline, picking up a bunch of rubber. But I think everybody raced pretty good today. There's a couple of close calls here and there, but it was a lot of fun. It's always good to be here at Mid-Ohio, and unfortunately we didn't get the result we wanted, but top 5 is still good.
Now, you are one of the masters at saving fuel, and when you have to start 9th, does it make it harder? Is it harder to save fuel when you're trying to be in the middle of traffic?
Yeah, it does and it doesn't. A lot of it depends on how the car is too. If you've got a really positive front end, you can really coast in, let the car roll through the apex. Today, we probably didn't have that, feeling as well. We did kind of the first 5 laps of the tires, and then we'd wear the fronts off. But a lot of it's car setup. Clean air always helps, and today we just didn't have either of those, so it is what it is, but it's a lot of fun.
All right, nice day for Scott Dixon, and as we said, still in the championship lead, Kevin.
Joseph Newgarden starts 4th, finishes 4th, but it was anything but just a typical day. You pass for the lead on the winner, Alexander Rossi. He ultimately makes it a 2-stop strategy. All right, hindsight's always 20/20. You're wondering what might have been if you would have done a different strategy?
Yeah, it's hard to predict these races. I think we did what we could to try and, cover our bases with Scott and some of the other championship runners. And it, didn't work out for the most part. It just didn't fall the way we needed to. But I think we had a really fast car. The Hitachi car was quick today. Just didn't, like you said, we didn't have the strategy play our way. But I still feel proud of our effort. I think it was a good job by the crew. Everyone was working as hard as they could. Just, it's IndyCar racing, you can't predict these perfectly every time, and you make the best bet possible, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, it's an okay day. I mean, we gained some ground on Scott, which is good, and it tightens up the battle a little bit, but we just need to make some more ground the next race.
Figured out turn 4 there. That's where you got Will last year, and we just saw that move on Alexander Rossi. You got Will another time during a pit exchange. This seems like the most action we've seen at Mid-Ohio. Why more passing today? Not necessarily for the lead, but throughout the field.
I think it's this new car. I mean, the car has been great to drive. You really can slide it a lot more. It's more forgiving, but it's difficult. I mean, it makes you work for it. So I think it's really the drivability of the car, because you don't have all this downforce on now. You don't have this string that snaps so quickly, and guys get a little bit more room to play with it. You can get sideways with the car and get away with it sometimes. So, yeah, you just don't know. I mean, we had all these offs in practice. You think it's going to be Yellow City for the race, and then you just run a whole green one. So it's hard to predict an IndyCar race nowadays.
And speaking of working for it, they worked hard today with 90 green flag laps. That's Joseph Newgarden, Katie.
But I think Sebastian Bourdais was the hardest worker in today's race. And when I came over here, Sebastian, your son Alex just said, "Oh my God, that was awesome!" And I can't say it better myself.
Yeah, it was quite a day. I mean, it would have been better and easier had we started at the front with that Sealmaster Honda number 18, but. Quite a day. Started 24th, finished 6th, passed every single car on track pretty much, or within the sequence of the pit stops. No help from any yellows or anything. So, we definitely put those Firestone red tires to use today.
And we see you making a pass here on Simon Pagenaud. You won from last in St. Pete, improved 18 positions today. I can't see you ever doing this the easy way. What's going on?
I don't know. I just can't seem to have a straight up normal weekend where you start at the front, you make no mistakes, and you stay there. I've made a lot of stupid mistakes, and yesterday was one that obviously cost us dearly, because I think if we could have started higher up, I think we definitely would have done, something a little better than that. But we'll take the recovery, and that was a good hard drive, and I owed it to the guys. 4
races to go. Do you see yourself making it easy down the stretch?
I need to minimize the errors for sure, and see what we can do in those last 4.
He was certainly very interesting today, Lee.
Oh, drive of the day. Drive of the day, taking nothing away from Alexander Rossi, but look, the family's happy as well. They're proud of Dad, and so they should be. All the way from the back, right up into the top 10. We're not done yet here at Mid-Ohio. We'll have more when we come back. Here from some more drivers. Podium celebrations continue here at Mid-Ohio for Alexander Rossi, Robert Wickens, and Will Power. But let's hear from some more drivers and their thoughts on this Indy 200 here at Mid-Ohio. Kev?
Ryan Hunter-Reay comes home in 7th. Pretty eventful day for you from listening to your scanner. It sounds like you had a handful and a myriad of issues at times.
Yeah, it wasn't our day, was it? I mean, it was just it was a mess today. We started out on the first set of sticker reds, and I'm not sure what happened, but we had a left front that was falling apart. I had to pit early, so there was no way around it. We had a huge vibration going, so I pit early, and that put us on the strategy. Unfortunately, pitting early like that, then you put yourself at risk for everybody overcutting you, just continuing to run, and we just kind of got out of everybody's way that way, unfortunately, and then just doing whatever I could to hold the floodgates back there at the end. I was on primary black tires, racing everybody that had sticky primary reds on, or alternate reds on. So.
And what was this conversation? There was fierce racing between 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Bourdais was going by a lot of people.
I was just talking to Simon because we had been wheel to wheel there, and not even this one really. It was when Bourdais got in. We ran side by side. I was out in the marbles. Simon came around the outside of 6. We came down into 6, and I had so much stuff on my tires, the car wouldn't turn. It was right here. So I'm out in the marbles here. Simon's on the outside. And I would have given him some room on the outside, but literally I had so much marbles on my tires, the car went straight. So I was just talking to him. He had no problem with it. It was just a hard race, and I felt like I was running around out there on crutches today. It was doing whatever I could to keep it from coming around at the end there.
Pocono next, and that's gone pretty well in the past for you.
Yeah, well, new car, we don't know what we have, so we definitely needed today to go better. It's unfortunate it went this way today for the DHL Auto Nation Butterball Turkey team. It's a bummer. We started 3rd. We thought we had a better shot at it today, but congrats to the 27 team and to Alex. They had a good run doing the old 2-stopper. Worked out, and everybody said if it went green all day today, 2-stopper wasn't going to work. So they just showed them wrong.
Always fun to not know what's going to happen. That's Ryan Hunter-Reay. Jan.
And Kevin, of course, it was Simon Pagenaud who just had Ryan Hunter-Reay come up on the scooter, and it looked animated, but he was just apologizing. You said, you're cool with that, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's racing. I would have probably done worse, let's just be honest. It's got to defend your position, and it was good racing. Good racing with everybody all day. I mean, I hate to start 17th. It crushes my heart, but we made big improvement on the car, and we had a fantastic Menards car today, and we're able to be aggressive, make passes all day, and have a really good race.
Well, here's the beginning of that. This is when Bourdais goes around the outside. So what he's describing here is when you come into the shot.
Yeah, he went wide there, sliding, so I thought I had a shot. So I went on the outside. I knew I couldn't make that outside lane work, but right there he pushed me out wide. I would have done exactly the same, or maybe worse, like I said.
Now, you have a smile right now, but after qualifying, you were very stoic. You were concerned. You didn't like the security of the car. You didn't like the rear. How was the race?
Well, I don't like not to be competitive, Jan. You know, it's not my nature. I've won a championship. I know how to do this. It's just crushing when you can't extract what you want out of it, and you can't unleash yourself to go out there and fight for pole position. I've got the equipment to do it at Team Penske, so everybody's behind me, and we just got to find what allows me to unleash myself like I did today. We made some good changes in the race. Yeah, we just got to make it happen in qualifying too.
Do you have to go on your own a little bit? Because you told me that your teammates like the car, but then you don't. So you have to find something unique to you?
Seems that way, but you know, that's the whole deal. We don't have much testing. We only have 8 days of testing a year, and unfortunately we burnt all these days. So now it's we're learning race by race. We fix our issues on a street course. We're very strong on the oval, and now I think we're scratching what I need on the road course. So you know, my teammates are doing really well with it, and Team Penske, man, they're always trying to give me what I need. It's just, you know, it's a very complex combination.
All right, well, Lee, it's good to see he's got his smile back.
Yeah, that is, Jan, for sure. PT Townsend, what did you make of today? What we've seen, what's went down with the comments we've heard so far? All make sense, all pretty straightforward?
Well, I'm just excited for the balance of our season. There's 4 races to go, and this guy, Alexander Rossi, confidence is riding high. There's not a weakness in his game, and frankly, never was a weakness, but the learning curve, you know, his 3rd year in the sport, it's complete. He knows how to save fuel. He knows how to race on ovals. He's really going to be strong down the stretch, and I think for Scott Dixon, he's going to have to deal with Alexander Rossi over the next 4 races. It's going to be fun to watch.
I think for me, the takeaway, this track is typically for the last 15, 20 years, as long as I can remember, has always been a pretty processional race, very hard to pass. And the last 2 weekends, these races have been so exciting to watch for the series. The momentum is back, the crowds are up, the TV ratings are up, and we are going to have an unbelievable championship to the end of the year.
Very well said, because there's a lot of momentum, a lot of positive momentum with the Verizon IndyCar Series right now. We'll be back after this to wrap things up from Mid-Ohio. Back in a moment. A lot of local angle stories today, and Zach Veach was one of those from Stockdale here in Ohio. The son of a champion tractor pull driver. He's now really carving his way through the IndyCar world, and this Long Beach result was so exciting for this young American. But then he's had really good results now with Toronto and Mid-Ohio equaling back-to-back top 10 finishes. Well done to another Andretti Autosport driver. That's Zach Veach, and he's with Katie.
And Lee, it's his 3rd top 10 of the season. Another good result for you, Zach. What did you learn today?
The car is a lot better on the reds, that's for sure. But, you know, I think to come home 10th, it's just the last half of the season, we want to consistently be in the top 10. And it's just, you know, I want to prove that I belong here. And I think we're doing more and more of that every weekend. But just with no yellow here, I think we had to qualify a little bit better to be able to race towards the front. But just so happy our relay car had the speed. It's just we kind of got caught into some traffic.
I want to get a little bit sentimental here really quick because your dad is also sitting next to us from nearby Stockdale, Ohio. You got Zach into racing. How proud are you of him and his development here in IndyCar?
So proud of him. You know, when he came to me when he was 12 and said he wanted to race and he wanted to get started as soon as he could because if he didn't get started soon, he was going to be too old because he wanted IndyCar. And, you know, ever since then, that's been his dream, and he's worked so hard to get there. So it's really great.
And, Zach, you also had some really fun battles out there today.
Yeah, I'm sure I need to talk to Bourdais. I pinched Hinch a little bit. Yeah, I think I was hit a couple times, or I hit someone a couple times. That's the one with Bourdais. Hopefully he's not too upset. But yeah, you know, it's just hard racing out there, especially on the blacks. We were kind of falling back, so we were fighting for everything we could with those guys on the red tires. But, you know, I think overall, pretty good day for us. We learned a ton, and just excited to go on to Pocono, and hopefully we can finish a few spots higher.
I don't think you can, upset Bourdais today. Zach, well done today, Lee.
Yeah, and that incident was looked at for a very brief period of time before no action needed. So, confirmation of the, well, we should say unofficial results at this point, but there you have it, a Rossi Wickens power podium. Newgarden and Dixon still title contenders, of course, in there. Bourdais coming from last to 6th, an incredible performance. We didn't really see a lot of Marco Andretti, but a decent result there as well.
Yeah, Robert Wickens is a guy who just continues to keep knocking on that door, Townsend, looking for a win, and it has not come yet, but I sense that it might come before the end of the year.
Well, if it doesn't come this year, you have a feeling Robert Wickens is going to be around for years to come and be able to put the experience of his rookie year to good use going forward. Not a great day for Hinchcliffe and Ed Jones. A lot of drivers fell a lap down. No yellow flags. Max Chilton started up front. Had that early penalty, really was never able to recover. But boys, going down the stretch, it's tightening up, it's looking good.
4 to go, 4 to go, and that margin at the top was reduced. That advantage at the top was reduced from 62 to 46.
Hunter-Reay, another kind of frustrating run, but he's still in the frame. But Alexander Rossi today, absolutely dominating weekend, start to finish, maximum points.
And there is Michael Andretti in the black shirt, blue cap with his driver. Will be thrilled to have done that. So the master at Mid-Ohio did not come away with another victory, nor did local lad Graham Rahal, but it was Alexander Rossi's day. What a race. So many passes, I think more than 155 passes during this race. The Verizon IndyCar Series continues from Pocono. Join us Sunday, August 19 at 1:30 Eastern on NBCSN. On behalf of the whole team, thanks for watching IndyCars here on NBC Sports.